Hi, I'm Frank Greco, the travel guide. Benvenuti to the region of Toscana, Italia.
Come on now, there's a world out there and it's waiting to be explored. If you're craving an adventure, the travel guy's got what you're looking for. Sights, sounds, streets of town, just take a look around. And as you dream of paradise, there's advice we must bestow. Don't just pack your bags and hit the road, you gotta know before you go.
Italy is located in southern Europe and is easily recognized by its unique boot-like shape. It is bordered in the north by France, Switzerland, Austria, and Slovenia.
Firenze, what a beautiful city. Here you'll find art, museums, and piazzas. This place is known as the art capital of the world. And why not? When you had famous people like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Donatello, and even the scientist Galileo making their home here. Come on, let's check out some of the sights.
Florence is one of those cities that's made for walking. It seems that every street is lined with art everywhere you turn, so comfortable shoes are a must. The major attractions are all located within walking distance in the historic core of the city. As I walked along the stone streets, I passed by many quaint piazzas and discovered the magnificent Battistero San Giovanni. It's believed to be one of Europe's most majestic cathedrals. The cathedral is unique because it's striped with marble and has been referred to as a church that is part candy cane. Looking at the crowds outside the cathedral, it's obvious that the Battistero San Giovanni is a tourist stomping ground and definitely worth seeing. But be prepared for a few bumps and nudges since it does get very crowded. I was on a mission to find what is probably the most recognized statue in the world, the Statue of David. But to get there, I walked through a few more streets and explored more piazzas along the way.
One of the piazzas you really must see is the Piazza della Signoria. It's filled with a whole bunch of giant-sized statues sculpted by the masters themselves. The one to really check out here is the Statue of David, sculpted by Michelangelo. And now don't get too excited here. These are all replicas. The real statues are in museums around the area.
Regardless if these statues are replicas, they look overpowering and alive. These masterpieces are positioned all around the Piazza della Signoria. This is an open-air museum for everyone to enjoy. Here, I saw the statue of Hercules, Perseus, and the head of Medusa, and many others. I had my camera handy to capture all of the artistry. Man, they look so real. Finally, the bigger-than-life Statue of David. He stands more than 5 meters high, and I couldn't help but stare in awe at Michelangelo's creation. Every detail was perfect. This definitely was the ideal man's body. Yeah, I guess I needed some work.
The train is a great means of transportation through the Tuscan region. Not only is it efficient, but it's a great way to take in the beautiful countryside. I'm making my way to Pisa to check out some of the city's hidden treasures. Train travel through Italy is absolutely the way to go. Let someone else drive for a while and take the opportunity to absorb all the incredible and diverse scenery the country has to offer. In the Middle Ages, Pisa was known as a great maritime republic and has since been recognized for its contributions to both sculpture and architecture. To truly learn about this area, I'm meeting up with Fabrizio. Ciao!
Ciao. Ciao.
Come stai?
Bene, benvenuti a Pisa.
Thank you
Welcome
very
to
much.
Pisa.
Grazie. So, what can you tell me about this beautiful area?
Well, you are in the very heart of the town. Here you see the riverside. You see the river that is the same of you have seen in Florence. And you have some examples of old architecture from the Middle Ages. And if you look behind, you see some miracles of architecture. That's
the one
why
that everybody know, of course, the Leaning Tower.
Yeah, you see the Leaning Tower and then the cathedral, and on the left you see the baptistry. This is the old town where all the families used to live, and some palaces, just like those. You see, these are what we call case torri, is that the tower houses where the old families lived. And if you look around, you see a lot of bell towers.
You do.
And the most famous bell tower is the Leaning Tower.
Okay, well, let's not spoil it. You know what?
Yeah.
Enough talking. Let's go check out the sights.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Here we go. Lying in the shadow of Pisa's more famous landmarks, the old town is often overlooked by many visitors. And those who visit Pisa without strolling through its streets or along the banks of the Arno River will miss some of the great architectural and artistic marvels of this beautiful city. Some of the sights Fabrizio pointed out to me were the Piazza dei Cavalieri, the Lungarno Mediceo, the Gothic church of Santa Maria della Spina, and the Santo Sepolcro. If you're just looking to wander, make sure not to miss the incredible view from any one of the bridges that connects the old town to the rest of the city.
Florence is a city filled with so much art and science. I mean, it's overwhelming. But in the late 1500s, one inventor combined both of these disciplines to create a masterpiece that is known the world over, the gelato.
I really wanted to learn how gelato is made and at the same time satisfy my sweet tooth.
Hey, Antonio.
Ciao Francesco, buongiorno, come stai?
Sto bene.
Bene.
Grazie. Bene, grazie. Mi impari come si fa il gelato?
Certo, sì. Oggi facciamo il gelato di banana, va bene?
Oh, banana gelato, really good. Sì, va
Vuoi
bene.
vedere? Vuoi vedere?
Sì, come facciamo?
Allora, prendiamo la banana.
The first step is simple, chopping the nice ripe bananas.
Ci buttiamo l'acqua dentro per frullarlo.
Now with the banana, you put some water.
Now here comes the really fun part, the mixing.
Slide. I get to help. Well, he has a special mixture of, I guess he calls it liquid fruit. It's got sugar, it's got some glucose, and it's got a secret recipe that he won't reveal.
Lo mettiamo dentro.
Okay, all that's mixed in.
Gli diamo un'altra.
Well, you should let the mixture rest for about 20 minutes so it basically ferments itself.
The mixture is then poured into an icing and mixing machine.
Inside the machine, there's a lot of R's basically that agitator turn the mixture and it starts icing it. So it's about 8 to 10 minutes, we should start seeing banana gelato flow into the pail.
Finally, my favorite treat was ready. And after all that work I put into making it, I couldn't wait to have some. And that pan seems just about right for me.
At Festival del Gelato, he says at times it can make up to 100 different flavors, but the specialty is authentic gelato with real fruit in it. Well, it's pretty interesting. He says he's never tasted American ice cream, but he knows that a lot of Americans, in fact, a lot of the world comes here to grab his ice cream, and they keep coming back for more. So although he can't judge which one is better, he really thinks his is better.
I have to agree with Antonio. The gelato is a great tasting treat, and I have to try so many more flavors.
So Fabrizio, this is the famous Piazza dei Miracoli I've heard so much about.
Yes,
What
correct.
can we see here?
Well, you see that you are surrounded by miracles of architecture. You see the baptistry, the cathedral behind the Leaning Tower and the monumental cemetery. And there's a symbolic meaning in this square because the baptistry means the birth of the man. The cathedral means the life of the man, and the cemetery means the death. So
Full circle.
full circle.
Right.
And I suggest you to move to life.
All right, well, let's go. The Duomo is a medieval cathedral entitled to St. Mary. Construction began in 1064, but after a fire in 1595, the interior was largely redecorated. There are a few main points of interest, which include the original carved pulpit, the gilded ceiling, the frescoed dome, and the Galileo lamp.
Just if you look above, you see the Galileo lamp. This is not the real lamp that Galileo saw in the past, but the legend says that Galileo was sitting on a bench, and suddenly the lamp started to swing, and Galileo discovered the law of the pendulum.
Of pendulum, right.
Yes, swinging this way.
Pisa's most famous image is that of the Leaning Tower. Located north of the Old Town Centre, it stands at 56.7 meters above ground on its high side. With 294 steps to be climbed to the top, you have the opportunity to experience every part of this true work of art. Construction of the first floor began in 1173, but continued in 3 separate stages over a period of about 177 years.
When the architects built the Leaning Tower, they didn't want to build a leaning tower. The tower was straight. They started to build the bell tower of the cathedral. Then the ground, it's full of clay. The ground couldn't support the weight.
Right.
And after the first 2 rings, the works were interrupted. And the architects began to think, how can we go on with the works? And they continued the building of the tower following the tilt.
Now, Galileo was famous for having done something with the tower. What was that story?
Well, the story says that when he was on the Leaning Tower, he dropped 2 weights from the top of the Leaning Tower, and he realized that the heavy weight fell down more quickly than the lighter weight. And you have seen in the cathedral the law of the pendulum, and here is the law of the
Gravity.
gravity of the weights.
Right.
Il Ponte Vecchio, or as the name means, the old bridge, was built back in 1354. Now, the people that built this bridge were pretty smart. They saw so many people going back and forth that they built shops here. Today, this bridge is the trendiest place to buy all your jewelry.
The architecture around Ponte Vecchio is beautiful. It's a short span across the Arno River, but it will take you some time to cross because it can get crowded, and there's a few shops you'll probably want to stop and check out. Not too far from the Ponte Vecchio are amazing streets. It's quite a climb up the hills, but they'll lead you to places where you can get beautiful vistas of the city. This is one place you really need to remember your camera. The day was moving on, and I heard that I could see a breathtaking sunset from the Ponte Vecchio, and I couldn't pass up a photo opportunity like this.
Siena is located about 50 kilometers southwest of Florence in the heart of Tuscany. Its origins date back to 400 BC, but many of the town's important sites were established in the 1100s. Its historic center has been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and wandering through the streets, you're almost guaranteed to end up at the very core of the old town, the Piazza del Campo. This main public space was the site of both the market and various sporting events in ancient times. Also constructed on the site are the town hall and the Torre del Mangia, the Tower of the Eater, named after its first guardian. La Piazza del Campo here in Siena is one of Italy's most beautiful squares. And not only that, it has a very famous event, La Palio. Each of the city's quarters sends one horse and one jockey to ride around the entire piazza. And the best part, there's no rules. The most famous of all palio races across Italy is the one that occurs in Siena. And many Italians from other parts of the country will tell you that unless you're from Siena, you'll never quite understand the frenzy that envelops the entire town. The Palio is held twice per year, and each of the city's 17 wards is represented by a rider bearing the colors and arms of their ward. The modern Palio began around 1650, and it's an incredible event that continues well after the race with parades and pageantry. No trip to Tuscany would be complete without a visit to the beautiful Tuscan countryside, characterized by olive groves, endless wine vineyards, and the unique cypress trees. I'm off to meet Paolo Lossi, who runs one of the few remaining family operations in this region, and they've been here since 1870. First, I was off to the olive groves to see where the process begins.
Principalmente nel periodo di novembre.
What Paolo is telling me is the harvest happens here in November, and you know that the olives are ready because they're a yellowy, reddish color and they're very plump. The main product produced here in these groves is Chianti Classico extra virgin oil. Now, I've seen enough groves. I really want to learn how they make this beautiful tasting stuff.
Altrimenti, se uno superasse le 24 ore...
To make olive oil, very time-sensitive process. They pick the olives off of the trees by hand, and then they put them in large containers. Now, within 24 hours of being picked, they have to actually put them into the presses to make the oil. If they're not put in within 24 hours, it's not considered premium olive oil. Allora. Millions of olive trees are cultivated worldwide per year. Almost half of Italy's olive oil is of the extra virgin designation. Okay.
Registri, Lori? Vai, perfetto. Aspetta, lo giriamo.
My first bottle. Not a bad try. Perfectly filled. And of course, no visit to Tuscany would be complete without sampling one of its famous red wines. Grazie.
Cin cin.
No, ragazzi, avete sbagliato. C'era una volta un pezzo di legno. Story of Pinocchio, one of my favorites and the favorite of children and adults around the world. I'm in the village of Gelato, where the author of Pinocchio lived and where you will find the Parco di Pinocchio. I can't wait to get in there and check out the story of Pinocchio for myself once again.
I met up with Isabella, who assured me a fun experience.
Isabella, has the story of Pinocchio changed over the years?
It changed a lot as it traveled all around the world, because it has traveled all around the world. But here we have the original Pinocchio story with the village where Pinocchio was born from a piece of wood, then the carabinier, the cricket, the fairy, which is very important to him, his father Geppetto, the puppeteer, and the big whale, and everything that Pinocchio has to go through in his original story to become a real boy. That's what he wants most.
I explored every corner of the park, and at times, Isabella just let me go and be a kid again.
The author of Pinocchio was Carlo Lorenzini, but he liked to sign his works as Carlo Collodi. He was a journalist, a writer, a theater reviewer, And Pinocchio was written almost at the end of his career, so all his experience as a writer is condensed in this book.
There were more places to visit and surprises that awaited us. Missed me! It was a great experience to learn about the author of Pinocchio as we continued to explore the park.
He started writing in 1881 and he published it in installments in one of the first magazines for children ever published in Italy. It was a great attraction for them to have such a name as Collodi in their publication.
Isabella, I hear there's this big whale that you can climb to the top.
Exactly, it's at the end of the path and it's one of the favorites for children.
Well, it's probably the favorite for me too.
Just a short walk and there it was, the whale. At this point, yes, I was a kid again. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, that happened as soon as I walked in the park. After playtime with the whale, there was more to check out.
Now, what's your favorite attraction in the park?
Well, mine personally maybe is Pinocchio, when Pinocchio waves goodbye. And it's my favorite attraction because he's still a puppet.
Yeah.
We just cannot imagine, at least I just cannot imagine Pinocchio as a child. He's still a puppet for me, a living puppet.
I wanted to take a souvenir back with me, so I inspected the wooden Pinocchio puppets in the gift shop to see which one or two I would take home to remind me of this place.
So Isabella, this is the Pinocchio.
Yes, it is.
You know, I can't thank you enough for making me feel like a kid again today.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Come back whenever you want. Kids are welcome.
Even big kids like me?
Yes.
Oh, grazie.
Ciao.
Ciao. Lauren, fancy meeting you here at Parco di Pinocchio.
It's great to meet you here too, Frank.
Oh, come on. You know, Lauren, I visited Firenze, and that place is awesome. With all the piazzas, they have these statues that are sculpted by the masters. I loved it. And I even got to make gelato and had lots of it too.
Should I be surprised?
Oh, come on.
I also learned how to make something, olive oil, in the beautiful Tuscan region near Siena. And get this, I climbed the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Oh.
Back and forth. Let me tell you, it was a difficult climb.
Well, you know, Lauren, it really pays to
know before you go.
I like these things.
So do I, they're great. Hey, Frank.
Oh. In Florence, it's illegal to sell and buy pirated merchandise, better known as knockoffs. If you get caught by the police, you'll be hit with a very, very big fine. Florence has many attractions, and they're all located within the central city core, and all within a very short walking distance from each other. So put on some comfy shoes and check them out. If you want to avoid crowds and have shorter waits and lineups for attractions like this, come early in the morning. There's not as much people, and oh yeah, it's cooler too. The month of August is a national holiday in Italy called Ferie Agosto, where most government offices and retail stores are closed, but not the tourist attractions. If you want to avoid lineups at the train station ticket window, either get here early or go to the fast ticket machine. It is fast, and don't forget, get your ticket stamped before you get on the train.